next presenter, this woman is spectacular. She is amazing. She is epic to this world, and she is epic to all of our lives. She's the visionary of Celebrate You. And I just want to just commend her for just being in our world. Now, that's not her that's my little introduction. Now I want to do the right introduction. LaWanna Bradford is a serial entrepreneur and global leader who is known as the connector. She applies the art of strategic planning with multiple billion-dollar organizations and small businesses. And for 30 plus years has guided businesses in growth and customer-centric engagement. She has an eye for business in navigating stumbling blocks and transforming them into stepping stones. She is the COO of the Bradford Group, a commercial and investment mortgage brokerage, and the principal of the Bradford Group Consulting. She often reminds her audience that when vision intersects with opportunities, success is inevitable. After this wonderful meme, you will hear the voice of LaWanna Bradford.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, really wanna know.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Barbara, for that wonderful introduction. Mason, thank you for playing my meme. Ladies, gentlemen, to those that are listening to the replay, this is the hardest presentation I've ever done in my over 30 plus years speaking. So I pray for grace. I pray for God's guidance as I deliver this message. So I want to ask for a show of hands, or you can put a 1 in the chat. How many of you have been in that dark space in life? You know, that place where you just don't know what you don't know. You don't know to go left or right. You just can't see because it's so dark. There's some situation that has happened unexpectedly that has just placed you in what some people call that dark place of the soul. Well, before I get into this journey, I want to tell you about the tale of two women. One woman lived a charmed life. The other woman lived from charm to challenge, back to charm again. The first woman was just brilliant. I mean, I really believe this woman had the S on her chest for Superwoman. Her life was charmed because she didn't have to work. She never had a concern for money. From childhood through her marriage, life was always really good. Before the age of 35, she had traveled most of the world, from Europe, Africa, Turkey, Greece, and many, many, many more nations. She had ended up seeing her dream of being a model come into reality. She had blessed to be a mother. And as I said, living that charmed life, she had a life as an African-American woman, born in 1936. To have a maid, a nanny for her children, and to basically live the life of Riley. But this woman had a generous heart, a giving spirit, always looking to pour in to others, always looking to be that helping hand, pouring words of encouragement, exhorting. She wore this S on her chest that most people notice, but especially her children, because remember I said she lived this wonderful existence. And I want to again emphasize an African-American woman born in 1936, who lived in Europe, married to her Prince Charming. And with all that she had going for her, her children could ask for crazy things, like when she would say, "What would you like for breakfast tomorrow morning?" "I want homemade cinnamon rolls." Now, this is a time when you didn't have Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme on the corner, or even grocery stores that had prepackaged cinnamon rolls. But her children would wake up to this beautiful aroma of cinnamon the next day, because she had stayed up that night making homemade yeast cinnamon rolls. She also had amazing gifts and talents. She was very creative, artistic, spoke multiple languages. Her artistic talent actually went down the lane of being a seamstress. So talented that her daughter, when she was about to get married, asked her mother to make her wedding gown. The only reason she said no was because she said it will take months to do the detailed beading. It wasn't that she couldn't do it, it was just the time devoted to that effort. But sometimes, you know how kids are, they forget to tell mom and dad about a school event, right? And invariably, she would always show up for that daughter or son that said, "Mom, we have a luau at school and we need to have a Hawaiian outfit." Magic happened. The next day we would wake up, there would be a beautiful Hawaiian dress for her daughter, and her son would have his Hawaiian shirt. How did this magic happen? Because she used her talents to gift her children through her way of demonstrating love. So again, this big S on her shoulder, on her chest. Lady number one. Lady number two, remember, charm life, challenge life, back to charm. So where one is living this beautiful existence, living the dream. The other was living the dream, rock star, shooting up the corporate ladder, would receive reports from executives saying this is the rising superstar. This woman was so brilliant that she would be one of the youngest ones leading teams internationally, leading teams to Germany, to Korea, working on developing new technologies in foreign countries. She also spoke multiple languages. She also had a talent for giving and lifting up others. Was very brilliant with her ability to speak. We've heard about the power of your words, as she was selected to speak before Congress. But life kind of had some unfortunate stumbling blocks for lady number two. The one woman found her Prince Charming. So did lady number two, but she found her Prince Charming twice. Twice married, twice divorced. Well, you probably all may figure out who lady number two is. And if you don't know, you're looking at her. You see, as I was growing up, and even now, I marvel at the woman who I was blessed with to call mom. I marvel at her talent, her dedication, and level of service to others. I marvel at her ability to manage finances, to the point that when my father retired, and my father has been retired for 30 years, at his retirement party, remember, this is a woman who didn't work until she chose to work at the age of 40, stood up to say, "Oh, by the way, the house is paid off." My dad was aghast. How did this happen? She had an amazing talent, and does to this day, of making dollars sing. She's learned the art of money. And I picked up those talents. I became a financial analyst, a strategist for both corporate America and my businesses. But life happened. I want to pause right there. I want to take you back to the dark place of the soul. Sometimes life happens to us. It's not our own doing. It's not a mindset thing. It's not a law of attraction thing. I want to kind of debunk some of those myths. Law of attraction is a real phenomenon. Mindset is a real phenomenon. But there's a third piece of the pie that we don't hear a lot of people talk about. And that's just sometimes life happens. Sometimes you can dot all the I's, cross all the T's, and life happens. It's not a mindset thing. It's not you didn't eat right. Life just happens. We've heard a lot of reference to scriptures during this conference, and it made me think about Job, who was doing all the right things, yet God tested him. God told Satan, you can do all that you can to this person, but the one thing you cannot do to Job is kill him. That was life happening. Because Job was doing all the right things. He was in all the right places. He was loving and serving God with all his might, but he lost it all. He was mocked. He was ridiculed. He was called a fool for still believing in the power and might of God. Well, I had my Job experience, and it wasn't fun. 2007, 2008 was a mortgage crisis. I'm in the mortgage business. Remember, I said I was a rock star, doing great financially, decided to leave corporate America in 2005 and took a 6-month hiatus. And I paint this picture so that you know money was good. I wanted a 6-month break to just decide what I wanted to do in life. And I did. I decided to work with my brother in his company, which is the Bradford Group, which I now own, and was just enjoying learning the new industry. So I asked him, how can I be a part of this? So I bought into the business. Well, let's fast forward. For 2 years, market is booming. Money was abundant. So much so that I had already amassed close to 1.3 million in my retirement account. I was building for that future self. Again, dotting all the I's, crossing all the T's. Marriage is starting to go down. 2007, I got divorced. My brother decided he wanted to leave the business because he wanted to do what was best for he and his family at that time. He had all the licensing and the credentials, and so suddenly that left me with, what am I going to do? So I had to quickly school myself, get all the credentials that I needed in order to keep the business afloat, because that was my only income coming in. I was okay with that. Then the market tanked. And overnight, the well dried up. How many of you, and you can put a 1 in the chat, where you found yourself where your well dried up, whether it was a financial well, an emotional well, maybe it was something in your self-confidence. It's something, somehow you just didn't have anything to tap into. You didn't have anything to help you to show up in life. Breathing even became difficult. Maybe it was a financial challenge or health challenge. Well, with me, the well was running dry and I had 13 employees. And I did what Deborah Morrison would say, you never do. You don't rob from your future. But I did. I took that retirement income to pay my employees. I didn't have the heart to say, you guys have to be on the street, because I knew what the market had for them on the street, which was nothing. You had CEOs of companies competing with college graduates. It was a dog-eat-dog world out there in 2007, 2008. So I did what I could to keep as many of them employed for as long as I could, to the point that I went from $1.3 to $7,800. Probably not the brightest move that I could have made, but from a heart space, it felt right. Hindsight, I would have switched that a little bit differently, probably given little pension plans or something for them, not pension plans, but severance packages for them, instead of trying to hold them on. And then that would have left some reserve for me. So here I am, now with no money, divorced, my brother's gone, and I've got my bills due. And I'm like, how am I going to not end up being homeless? How am I going to keep my lights on? So remember, I told you life had been really good before. And so I said, I know what I'll do. I'll go and knock on some of those same doors that once knocked on my door and ask if they can help me out. So I swallowed my pride, knocked on a few of those doors, and every door said, no, I'm sorry, we can't help you. I was shocked. How can my friends turn their back on me when I didn't turn my back on them? But that was my reality. It was growing darker and darker. I looked over to my right and I see this superwoman rocking and rolling. My mom, Miss Bessie Bradford, still buying $300-$400 purses, doing her thing. And I said, I'm going to have to go to mom and dad. I'm going to have to ask them for help. So I called my parents. They happened to be in Atlanta at the time. They came over. I told them the situation. And I thought they were simply going to say, no problem, and write me a check. My mother and father, again, teaching me lessons of stewardship, said, we need to see all your bills, and we need to see all the money that you're coming in. We need to see all of your accounts. Bring everything to the table. They're combing through my documents, and I felt a little violated. Like, really, you're my parents, and you're asking me to show you this? And my father simply said, if you are asking me for your help, our help, you've already invited me into your business, so this is our business. If we have to help you manage your household financially, then yes, it is our business. We need to know what risk we're taking as we're helping you. So my parents agreed that they would pay for my mortgage. They would pay for my utilities. They would make sure I had food. But any of my business expenses and debts, they weren't going to handle that. And I said, and any credit card debts that I had, they weren't going to handle that. So I was grateful for that. But I was still in this dark space. So I said, well, LaWanna, you can start leveraging your talents. You can try to get some other employment while still keeping this business afloat. That didn't work. I couldn't even get a job, and this is no exaggeration. I tried to get a job as a greeter at Walmart. I was looking for any way to get some cash flow coming in. So I thought a little harder, and I said, well, what I can do, because I'm a strategist, I can partner with another business, and I can offer some consulting services, which I did. VNL Research is a major national market research company, which I happen to do customer research for them on the public health arena. Put a pin there. We'll get back to why that is so relevant. Sometimes we go through paths that we may not want to go through, but it gives us the experience that we need that is going to bless us in the long term. It's growing still darker. I got a knock on the door, and it was from Chase Bank. I was being sued. Woo, what do? You don't have any money, and I cannot afford a lawyer. And I wasn't going to tell mom and dad this one. In fact, mom is hearing this for the first time. So I said, I am going to have to represent myself in court. How am I going to win? I don't know. For those of you who know me, know one of my favorite movies is The Color Purple. I can probably recite most of the lines in the movie. I believe in life that God brings angels to us. The word says sometimes we're entertaining angels unaware. But we have to lean in, we have to tune in, we have to tap into that spiritual greatness within us in order to be aware of their existence. And in the movie, there is a scene where Sophia, who was played by Oprah Winfrey, was a proud, strong woman, but had been beaten down, had been spat upon in the sense of life, just knocking you down to the lower recesses of your being, to where she was imprisoned and she was rocking. She was just rocking and groaning in her pain, groaning in the suffering, groaning and moaning in her agony. I don't know if any of you've ever been there where it's so dark, you can't even, there are no words. We heard Wendy Corner talk about the power of the words, but sometimes there are no words. It's just the groaning of the spirit. It's just the groaning, because there are no words of pain. The darkness is so deep. And so Sophia is just rocking and she's groaning. And then it goes to the next scene, and she's in this corner store, and she's trying to read what she needs to do, and she's confused. And it's, we've been there when there's no clarity and there's no focus, when the mind is just so overwhelmed, we just can't do what seems to be the basic of things in life. We just can't even think straight. And Sophia was there. Then the angel came in and sprinkled a little pixie dust, and that angel was Celie. In the line in the movie, Sophia later tells Miss Celie, and I'm going to do it in dialect for you. Miss Celie, when I seed you, I was feeling mighty low. I was feeling mighty, mighty low. But then you showed up. You showed up and you helped me, Miss Celie, when I was at the all-time low. And I didn't know what to do. And Miss Celie, when you showed up, I knew there was a God. I knew there was a God. My rocking and my groaning happened to me in my home. I was sitting in my stairs and out looking over my, get out of my Palladium window. And I was groaning, and there were no words. And my angel, who came, was my business partner 40 years, Rick Spann, and he sprinkled some pixie dust of advice, and he told me what to do and how to represent myself in court. And I won. I won against the big bank. I won, and they didn't take my home. They didn't take anything. I got a release from a debt that I owed. The angel that also came in also told me, LaWanna, I need you to tap into those talents that God has given you. I need you to walk in the greatness that's there. I need you to believe in yourself, because you're in such a dark place. You don't remember all the things you've done. But I'm going to tell you. See, sometimes God surrounds us with a great cloud of witnesses who remind us of where we've been and all that we've done. Sometimes those are those angels that are helping to be that wind beneath our wings, to give us a little strength to just fly a little bit farther, to soar a little bit higher, to again believe that, yes, we can, as Deborah Morrison says. So when you think about where you are in your life, especially when it comes to financial life, you could be in that dark space where you don't know what to do. You are, borrowing the colloquialism, robbing Peter to pay Paul. Perhaps you're divorced and now you are the sole money maker in the household. Perhaps you have children that are going to school and you just don't know how to make ends meet. Perhaps you have a medical condition that the bills are just racking up. And oh, by the way, speaking of medical conditions, remember I told you all those things that happened to me? Divorce, brother left the business, mortgage crises, lawsuit, cancer diagnosis, which I'm still in the fight today. When all these things happen, when the tsunamis, the hurricanes happen in life, and they will if you live long enough, to different degrees, One person's tragedy is not any different than anyone else's. It's your lane. You have to tap into that genius and that gifting and trust in God, and look to your right and to your left for those women who have the S on their chest, because they are there as your angels to say, I got you. I'm here with you. And I may not be able to walk this journey for you, but I can be on the sidelines cheering you on. My angel all along was Mom. And when I went through from the charm to the challenge back to charm again, ladies, in an instant, literally in an instant, I got a knock on the door. Remember I talked about that public health? Well, so there was a headhunter who was looking for someone for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They needed someone who was an expert in strategy and finance to lead a team. Your reputation precedes you, ladies. Well, someone remembered me. And they said, there's a LaWanna Bradford you need to talk to. My income went from $0 to $225,000 annual income overnight. Just as quickly as the financial rug was stripped from me, God turned around and righted the ship. I was wondering, why did I have to go through all of this? But now I look back and I realize because there was arrogance he needed to strip from me. There was pride he needed to strip from me. There was, I got this, I can do this all by myself, stripped from me for a time such as this. So when you are going through any financial challenges, I want you to first, don't be afraid to ask for help. Number one. Number two, ask the right questions. And you may say, well, LaWanna, how do I know what questions to ask? Pause and get silent. And go from a state of where you are right now. And sometimes the prayer is, I don't know what I need to ask, but I know I need to ask something because there's an answer to where I am. So what is the driving question that is going to get me the answer to help me to start to move the needle? The question will come. And then leverage your talents. So many people think I can only do one thing, but when you look at your journey and life experiences, you've picked up so many gifts and talents and skills and knowledges that are ready for you to tap into, to pull forward, to help you navigate your journey, to go from what seems to be stumbling blocks into stepping stones, to go from glory to glory. So, Mom, I want to say thank you for being my superwoman. And Mom and Dad gave me two anchors in life that have been my guideposts my entire adult life. Dad said, find something in life that you love so much you do for free, and you will never work a day in your life. And he's right. Every business decision, every job decision I've made, it's always, is it a win-win for me? Meaning, it's got to bring me joy. Because when it brings me joy, I know I'm tapping into my genius. Lesson number 2, Mom said, learn from the mistakes of others because you cannot live long enough to make them yourself. And she's so right. So I become an observer of my environment. Conferences like this, I'm leaning in because these speakers have gone through so many things that I have not. But I can learn from their journey. I can learn from their experiences. I can learn from their lessons. And I can become a more richer, more expansive person. And then finally, I, LaWanna Bradford, CEO of the Bradford Group and principal of the Bradford Consulting, where we are making a difference, leave you with my quote and my third piece of the triangle. Mom, Dad, and me at the pinnacle. Ladies, gentlemen, always remember that when your vision intersects with opportunity, success is inevitable. Thank you so much.